live. Cool. This Instagram's not going to work for us, I don't think.
Are we live right now on this one?
We're live. If you can just welcome our viewers.
Hello everyone, how are you? My name's Jared Johnson. I'm going to be going over some, I guess we have the ABCs of drumming. This is something Jenny wanted to share with you guys for Lunch and Learn. This is not my little worksheet I put together, but it does have some good stuff on here for sure, and I definitely think it's some of the most important things you should know about drumming if you're getting started or if you've been playing for a while. So yeah, but I guess Mr. Matt is not feeling well today, so I'll be filling in for him. And this is, of course, Jenny Townsend.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Yes, Matt is going to be hosting our Lunch and Learn segments every Wednesday between 12 and 1. A lot of them have a theme for each month, so we are going to be talking about rhythm, beats, metronomes, and all kinds of fun stuff today. And in the coming weeks as well. So make sure to like, comment, and share. Engage with us as well. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to see some comments. Give us a heart, give us a like. Just engage with Jared and I so we know that you can hear us and we're doing a great job. So today we are going to be doing Drumming 101. It is National Drum Month. Jared is doing a workshop. We're having a drum off and some really cool things around drumming. And so that's why we're going to be doing Drumming 101. And I may learn something today.
All right, so we're going to start out with, actually, they have rudiments on this list first, and I'm going to kind of start out with, so I guess we can talk about that. Obviously, it's kind of simple patterns or combinations of different types of sticking. So, and I guess the sticking we're going to talk about is just basically, how you're arranging your strokes in terms of like left and right. So different patterns with that. And those are kind of like the basic fundamentals that have been around for a long time in like old school drumming. So, and there's three that I really think are super important. And honestly, it's great to know all the other ones, and it's really cool to know those. And I think like learning them, they have a lot of applications around the drum set, or especially if you're doing like marching stuff or anything like that. But honestly, there's three main ones that they do cover on the sheet, and I really like that because they are definitely the most important. And I think you can get by with those three rudiments, kind of without knowing any of the other ones almost. So anyway. Do you know them, Jenny?
Just because I read the sheet.
So probably the most basic one we'll say is the, remember?
No.
Sure. No. Okay, the single stroke roll. So
I should know about stroking. I'm just kidding.
The single stroke roll. So basically it's pretty simple. When everyone thinks about like a drum roll, they probably, like, what's a drum roll, Jenny? Can you give us a drum roll, please? Cool, awesome, and that's a great drum roll. So she's just alternating her sticking, so right, left, right, left, right, left, or you can start with your left, left, right, left, right, left, right. Now it can be a variety of different speeds. It's not going to be one set speed. Typically they write them out as like 30-second notes. You don't have to know what that means, but just And when we're doing this, the biggest thing we want to focus on, everybody wants to go fast, and that's cool. But if you want to go fast, You want to be smooth and kind of like be really comfortable and confident with it. And in order to make it sound good, we need, you know, our stick heights to be pretty even. So how high we're lifting the stick on both hands. It's really common if you're right-handed to lift your right stick pretty high and play pretty loud with that one, and then maybe have your left stick not come up quite as high. So you're gonna have that kind of like sound to it, where it's like, that's actually kind of cool depending on like what you're trying to do. But if you're trying to go for and have a nice even sound, you want your sticks to be coming up the same height. You want to be hitting about the same volume. And you want to be fairly relaxed too. So, you can see it, Jenny? Yeah, pretty good. Nice. Yeah, and you're a little bit tighter in your left hand. So that's just one thing you have to practice. You know, like a good exercise would be to do your right for a little bit, do your left for longer, and then put them together. Yeah, and then you maybe like, so if you did like 4 on your right hand, since you want to work on your left hand a little bit, you could do 8 on your left hand, 5, 6, and go both, and then you go back and forth again. Yeah, get rid of it. So, cool. We use it all the time on the drum set, whether it's playing a, you can play a drum beat with this, so. All single strokes, so it's really important. We use it for drum fills, we use it for beats, and we'll talk about what those things are shortly. But yeah, that's the first one. We also have a double stroke roll. So instead of hitting one time with each stick, we're actually going to hit twice on each side. So for example, right, right, left, left. Yep, gonna try it. Yeah, exactly. You could also start with your left hand and do your right. Great. Now, what's interesting about this is I think a lot of teachers, the kind of old school way seem to be to just have people go like this and practice that at a bunch of different speeds and try to get really good at it, right? Until you're just like sick and tired of it and you don't really care. But I really like to teach kids early on, and adults even as well, to actually try to get rebound in order to get that second hit. And what I mean is, when a drummer who's able to play double strokes well, you know, that's twice on each hand. Every time I drop my stick, I'm getting 2 hits. And that's not because I'm going, like, tapping twice really quickly. I'm letting the stick fall, and the second note is actually a bounce. So if you let the stick bounce, it wants to bounce a lot. So we're just going to let that happen. And it does take practice, but the goal is to get that so that second note kind of comes for free. So then if I'm playing this, like single strokes, and I let the stick bounce so that it hits twice each time, I get a roll that's twice as fast. So I go from doing without having to really do much else. My like grip changes a little bit, but I don't actually have to like try and play. Move my hands a lot faster, so it enables us, of course, to play much faster. I'm just moving my hands at about the same speed as. Double strokes are great. Allows you to play a lot faster than you normally be able to. So, cool. We also have, let's see, what else do they have on our list here? Paradiddles. It's a fun, goofy name. So, diddle is an old school term as well for double, which we just talked about. So, hitting twice on one side. And this one's called a paradiddle. So, we know the last part, that diddle, is going to be a double. That's cool. And really, this is a mixture of the first 2 things we talked about, single strokes and then double strokes. So, and it kind of switches up a little bit. So once again, rudiments are largely like sticking patterns, so the order in which we're hitting, you know, with our right and our left sticks. So in this case, if we start with the right, it's going to be, I like to think about it like a pair of sticks, so your right and your left, and then a diddle. So we're going to do pair, so right, left, yep, and then we're going to do right, right for the diddle at the end. Yep, good. And then because you ended on the right, it's going to make sense to switch over and start on the left this time. Exactly, yeah. So the second one will be left, right, left, left. Yep. And then the goal is with this one, it's kind of weird because it seems like you probably want to go like, a lot of people like to do that when they're playing it. It makes sense. The double should be faster or something. But what we actually want is to play them straight. So like all the same, like just typically they're written out as 16th notes, but basically all even, all straight, the same amount of space between every single note. So Let's go nice and slow. Left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left. Go, Jenny. Nice. Cool. Okay, and Jenny's doing really well too. She's got her thumb on her right hand, like on the stick. That's great. She made if your left hand. There you go. Cool. Yeah, her thumb was getting a little bit lazy on this side, but that's the right hand looked really good. So cool. Yeah, and your paradiddles sound good. You weren't messing up. That's great. Now, as we get faster, also, actually, let's talk about this first. So we want to actually try to accent the first note of each of those paradiddles. So you know what an accent is, Jane?
Something on top of something.
Yeah. If you're looking at the physical music, yes, there's like a little marking on the written music for accents. So an accent is when we play a note or notes louder than the other notes, relatively speaking. So we want to accent that first note. So loud, soft, soft, soft. So right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left.
I messed up already.
It's tricky, yeah. So I mean, honestly, you know, that's down the road. I say if you're going to practice paradiddles, just get used to this, the combination of like going back and forth and try a different speed. You know. Make them all the same volume. Don't worry about trying to add in the accents. This is down the road after you get comfortable with them and you feel like you can kind of like play them without having to think about it too much and you're not getting mixed up and doing like 3 rights or 3 lefts or forgetting to do a double half the time. So then you can add in your accents and that's when it starts to really, it gets a pretty cool sound to it and you get to the point where you can kind of play them faster as well. And in reality, do you remember what I said about doubles? We don't want them to actually be like tapping twice. We let it bounce, right? Mm-hmm. So in this exercise, that double becomes a like rebound double. So you can actually play these pretty fast. And it's just another, I mean, technically singles, doubles, paradiddles, you can play all the same stuff with those, but it does give you different options as far as how you want to orchestrate it, especially I think on drum set. So we could play, you know, a beat using a paradiddle even just on like hi-hat and snare drum. So right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Have some bass coming. Strat. Put your foot on the hi-hat pedal on the left. Mm-hmm. Yep, and keep that down while you're playing. And then you're going to do right, left, right, right, left, right, left.
Oh!
Weird, right? So it does take a little practice. And the cool thing, I like it when you start applying it to the drum set because it suddenly becomes more than just a sticking pattern. It's more like a simple melody. So, you know, chick, dot, chick, chick, dot, chick, dot, chick, chick, dot, chick, dot, chick, dot, dot, chick, dot, chick, chick, dot, chick, dot, dot, or has like a little more of a musical application, I think, than just. So.
That sounds so boring now.
It does sound kind of boring by comparison. Yeah, they're fun. Okay, so paradiddles, awesome. What else do we have? Apparently, oh, this is my favorite one personally. This is the ABCs of drumming, which we found. Where did we find this?
Online.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can find everything online.
Drumming
Not music
101,
lessons, though.
6
You have to
basic
come
drum
to
terms.
Music Compound
Okay.
for those. And
Sweet.
sign up for online lessons.
So one of these terms you're supposed to know is drum throne. I think that's fantastic. That they felt it was really important that you know that the seat we sit on is the throne because I guess we're all cocky and we think we have a throne because we're kings or something. I don't know. Probably because we're shoved to the back
But
of the
they
stage.
are. We have very nice
Unappreciated.
ones here, actually, and they can
We
be
do.
very, very expensive.
Yes.
So the one that Jared is sitting on right now is about 150 to 200, right?
It's 200. Yeah.
$200, and the one that I'm sitting on is probably like 100.
Yeah, a little bit under, I think, probably some 75
So
bucks.
they have different cushionings, and you obviously want to have
This
a really
one is pretty convenient. It's like an office chair. So.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're sitting there for like a 4-hour gig.
Yes, definitely. They're definitely nice. This is a rock and sock. They're great. What's the one I have? I don't remember. You guys don't really care about drum throws anyway. I just thought it was funny that they include that on that.
I think it's great.
Okay.
Especially since you were trying to sell me one yesterday.
Yeah, I was trying to sell them my old one. It's actually one of these. It's really nice.
If I don't buy it, we will be selling it. We will drop the price on here. And if you're interested, you can call and contact Jared.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Sweet. Okay. We also have drum fills. I'm probably going to talk about beats first. So when we think about a drum beat, typically I think everyone thinks of like, boom. But a drum beat could also be, have to be just hi-hat and bass drum and snare drum. Those are the most common kind of parts of the drum kit that we use for that. But any pattern essentially that we're repeating, and that kind of makes you, and it depends on the style of music. I guess I shouldn't say definitely makes you want to groove every time, but that's kind of the goal. Is that it should set the stage for the rest of the song. I think as far as the feel of it. So yeah, that's what a groove or a beat is. So it's just a steady pattern that we're playing. That should definitely complement the song. And most of, I would say, contemporary drumming on a drum kit can be separated into beats and grooves like that, which are just two terms for the same thing, again. And then fills. So a drum fill would be, it gets the name F-I-L-L from basically filling in space in the music. So oftentimes if we're going from one part of the music, maybe like a verse to a chorus or something like that, and it should definitely complement what's going on. It might also, you might play a fill to accent something that the other band members are doing, like a horn section or a guitarist or whatever. So if I'm playing a beat, that kind of thing. So it's the little extra fun stuff we get to do as drummers.
And you're doing a workshop on that, right?
Yeah, so the workshop is on being creative and soloing, and so it will cover some of the fill stuff. It's also about being creative when you're playing grooves as well, and just trying to get the most kind of like mileage out of what you already know. So trying to, we're going to learn some new stuff technically, but I'm not really going to be teaching everybody how to do crazy stuff. It's more going to be taking what you already know and taking it further, going deeper with it, and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I mean, you'll be able to apply that to fills as well, of course, but hopefully apply it to grooves and just playing songs as well. So
right. That workshop we're mentioning is November 14th from 10 a.m. to noon. So if you're interested in attending that workshop, just call the front desk at Music Compound, and we'll give you more details. Once again, that's November 14th, and Jared will be leading that.
Yep.
Cool.
Should be fun.
All right, what's the next thing?
Let's see here. We've also got traditional and match grip. So match grip is the way that Jenny and I are playing. We're holding both the sticks the same way. It's kind of how, if you handed even a little kid a pair of drumsticks, he would probably do like this, So that's match grip. They're both facing the same way. Traditional grip, I actually play this way a fair bit. Actually, if you might notice, my snare drum's kind of angled down. Traditional grip, the reason it became traditional, there's, from what I understand, marching drummers used to wear a drum on a sling around them. So because of the sling going over one shoulder and down, the drum actually hung at an angle. So rather than having to play like this for marching for hours, they adopted a grip that would allow them to play kind of naturally with their elbow down, so they could play that way. And that's just that was the standard for a long time. I mean, everybody playing jazz drums in the early 1900s and through the 40s, 50s, 60s, all that stuff, even up to probably 20 years ago, every kid had to learn this way, I think. At least learn how to play traditional. In marching bands, they still play traditional grip. It's kind of cool though. There's a little bit of a difference. The fulcrum in your hand in match grip is in front of your fingers, which is kind of interesting. And then the fulcrum in traditional grip is actually behind your fingers. So it kind of provides some interesting different challenges, and also some certain things that actually seem to be easier with traditional grip than they are with match grip. Different techniques and stuff. So it's kind of interesting. Are you trying to do? So, and I guess I should go over traditional grip since a lot of people don't really know how I'm actually supposed to hold it. Just kind of make the little finger gun thing. Stick your stick in that, and then you want your pointer and your middle finger on top, curl around. It's basically it also rests on your ring finger, about on the I guess the second joint there, and then your thumb should actually be touching your pointer finger technically most of the time. This is kind of like an old school thing, like you should always be touching, you should never ever take your thumb off, but I think depending on the technique you're doing, if you're trying to get a lot of volume, you will actually like open up your hand a little bit more. So, and then it's like it's almost like the same motion you would use to open a doorknob. You're like turning like that, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. And then you hold it a little further back. Yeah. It's kind of like if you put them next to each other, your thumbs should almost be like the fulcrum should be at the same spot basically in the stick.
Got it.
Just about. So. All right, that's traditional grip. I think we've only got like one more thing left. We've got tempo. So that's obviously super important. It's just basically speed. So as a drummer, you know, obviously we want to be able to keep a steady beat. That's super important. But you can also use tempo, of course, in music. There's tempo changes where it can really, you know, bring more to the music by changing that tempo or kicking things up a notch. Like also playing live, we want a faster tempo for like a live song, just to give it more energy and more like driving. So. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers tempo.
So,
Everybody.
And with tempo, is that the same thing with like the metronome as well? Like changing the metronome or?
Yeah, so the metronome helps us, basically, you know, the goal of the metronome is to provide perfect timekeeping. It's kind of like a clock, and we measure, you know, the speed and the tempo in beats per minute. So just like they would a heartbeat. So if you have like 60 beats per minute, it's literally a clock at that point, an audible clock. And it's just keeping us in time. And a metronome is a really great tool to help you keep your time steady and be aware of how fast you're playing. And then also it's a good way to kind of gauge where you are with learning new techniques and stuff. I like to use it with my students to help them kind of realize, oh man, like I can see I've actually gotten like 10 beats per minute faster playing this one fill or this one lick or whatever, so, or this beat or whatever it is. So, but yeah, so in the metronome you can adjust the beats per minute. You can change also the type of notes it plays for you. So typically those going to play quarter notes. So we're always counting to 4, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's my metronome right now. 2, 3, 4. And then maybe I want to practice playing, you know, paradiddles over the top as 16 notes. 1, and then I decide I want to try them a little bit faster, so I turn the metronome up. That's related to the metronome thing, but
are there any cool drum apps, like drum metronomes or anything else like that?
Yeah,
that
and
people
actually,
could resource?
I left my phone on today, so yeah, I recommend just find a metronome app. There's like Metro Timer, I think. I can't remember the name of the one I use right now. There's a really good one. I wish I could remember what the heck it is.
We'll drop a
iPhone.
comment
Yeah,
when Jared remembers. We'll drop it.
Tempo Advance is the one for iPhone. It's a little more expensive, but it's really neat. I mean, you can do so many different. You can program it to do like time signature changes within a song. You can do all sorts of polyrhythms and really cool stuff. So that's always nice. Any subdivision you want, weird time signatures, weird subdivisions, quintuplets and septuplets and stuff. It just, you can almost just endlessly keep on going and make it ridiculous if you want to. And actually what I really recommend, almost even more than that though, is for a lot of people, there are some really cool apps out there now for playing along to music. Because, I mean, I think traditionally, you know, if you couldn't play the song at the speed it was at, it was like, okay, well, you got to practice with your metronome until you can do all the things you need to do. And then you have to go put it with the music, which is definitely challenging because even if you've gotten all the skills down to play that stuff, now you have to be listening to the music and lining everything up with it. So that's its own skill. So I think these apps are really cool because they actually allow you to change the pitch as well if you're like a singer or a guitarist. And maybe you're playing with a singer who needs it in a different key, you can actually change the pitch and practice with the song in real time in the correct key. Or as a drummer or any instrumentalist or singer, you can slow stuff down and actually play in time with the music that you're actually trying to play to. That's pretty cool. So that's one of my favorite things, and I encourage all my students in the bands, in my private lessons, everything, to definitely get one of those apps. I use it all the time, even for like ridiculous hard songs that I'm trying to work on. So it's a really great tool.
Cool. Well, we're all about tools at Music Compound and providing all those tools for you. We're going to close out with one more thing. I want us to talk about the different, we have brushes, you have sticks and things like this.
Yeah.
The reason I love these sticks is because the first time I learned how to play drums with Jared, I was doing Fly Me to the Moon, which is a jazz song, right?
Yeah.
So I learned to play, obviously, with sticks at first, but then we moved into these really cool things. We have 2 more minutes.
Okay.
Awesome. So will you break down sticks and then the brushes?
Yeah, so obviously everybody knows everyone knows what drumsticks look like. There are a variety of different sizes and stuff. These are, kind of thinner. These are probably good for like jazz and some rock. Typically, like rock players would probably use like heavier sticks. There's, all sorts of different sizes and shapes. For example, here's some ridiculously large sticks. These are actually marching sticks, super thick. They bounce really well though because of that, that extra weight, and they're obviously pretty loud because they're so large. So a lot of mass behind it when you're dropping it. There's also mallets where you can, do cymbal swells and stuff. But here, you can kind of almost hear a little bit of the stick like in there as far as the alternating hits. Whereas with the mallets, it's almost just like pure like wash of sound without any attack, which is really nice. So mallets are good for that, or just softer parts on like toms and stuff like that. Maybe Latin beats could be really cool with mallets. I don't have a pair of mallets right now, sorry guys.
We're wrapping up right now.
And then, brushes. So I really think brushes are super interesting for drummers because with mallets or different types of sticks, you're still pretty much doing the same thing, but brushes are cool because besides just, downward and upward motions, we're now, using the texture of like a drum head, and you're actually having to incorporate, kind of like pat your head and rub your tummy, but you have to do it in time now. So it's pretty interesting.
Cool. It looks like you're making sushi, or you're making dinner at the Japanese restaurant.
They call this one stirring soup, so there you go. Definitely a lot of cooking analogies there. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're out of time. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Thanks.
Kudos to Jared, our lead drum instructor here at Music Compound. Once again, his workshop is November 14th here at the Cattleman location. We're doing lots of drum events this month, so if you're interested in getting with us on the drum kits, let us know. Jared is also doing a drum rental program, so if you are interested in drum lessons but don't have a drum kit, give us a call here at Music Compound. Anyways,
yeah.
I
was going to say, and the workshop too is going to be like, the goal is to have 8 to 10 drummers. We're all going to have our own drum kits. We're going to be spread out in the warehouse, taking up the whole thing. My goal is to get some players here as well to kind of like jam with us towards the end. So we're going to work on some different techniques, some kind of nifty little extras, like maybe some fun little stuff to get you like trying new things on the drum kit. And then we're going to all kind of jam out, take turns soloing and improvising, and then we'll probably jam with the band at the end, take turns soloing and filling it in and stuff. So it'll be fun. Check it out.